and happy Friday, and thanks for tuning in to RadioFreeRhinecliff.org. And this show in particular, correct me if I'm Norm, I'm your host, Norm, and I'm thrilled to be here tonight with Willis Williams. Willis!
Hey!
Thanks for coming.
Thanks for inviting.
My pleasure. Now, Willis, you're a local resident here in Rhinebeck, New York, USA.
Yes.
How long have you been here?
I have been in Rhinebeck since 2002, 2003. Nice. I've been in the Hudson Valley since '89 from the South Bronx.
And from the South Bronx.
Yep.
Now, that's quite a hike from the South Bronx to the Hudson Valley.
Yes.
You were living in the South Bronx and somehow moved to the Hudson Valley?
Yeah, basically, long story short, I was 13.
We get a whole hour. Don't
okay,
shorten
so,
anything.
All right. Well, I was going to give you the Reader's Digest condensed version, but okay. So, I was 13, and my godparents lived in Salt Point.
Oh.
And my dad had me come up for the summer of '89.
Uh-huh.
And somehow, within the summer, I was asked, hey, do you want to go to high school up here? And I was like, yeah, sure, why not? So I went to FDR in Hyde Park, and then I've been up here ever since.
And what grade did you start at FDR?
I started in ninth.
Ninth grade.
I came up here, and I did 8th grade in Haviland. So I did 8th grade, and then I went right to Roosevelt. Okay,
so you started 8th grade in the system up here that Salt Point was a part in the district of.
Yep, Hyde Park District.
Kind of a ballsy move for an 8th grade, rising 8th graders. Say, yeah, okay, I'll switch schools and go to this rural place.
Yeah, I mean, the culture shock wasn't too different. I mean, my dad worked in Westchester. He worked in Scarsdale and Yonkers, so I was used to the whole out of the city trees and everything.
Right.
But it did take a little culture shock here. As a 13-year-old, I would ask myself questions like, so you trust your neighbors to look after your house when you're on vacation? How does that work? Or
because that's not how it worked in the South Bronx.
Yeah, or it's like, oh, you're just going to run into the store and not lock the car? I mean, it was just
right.
So, yeah, it took a little adjustment. I'm like, oh, wow, you trust people out here. That's different.
And did you have siblings?
Yeah, my sister, but she didn't come up with me. She stayed in the Bronx. She was 3 years younger than me. And basically, my parents split up when I was in 2nd grade, so my sister and I lived with my dad.
Okay.
And he worked for car dealerships. He was working all the time. So I figured that maybe, just send me up, which originally was supposed to be just for the summer.
Right.
And then it just kind of, it was like an audible made, and they just decided I would stay up here.
I kind of love that. God bless the godparents.
Yeah, definitely.
For liking you enough, and I assume they thought it would be a better high school experience here than...
Yeah, because I would have gone to high school in the Bronx. I mean, I grew up like 10 minutes from Yankee Stadium, so...
Right.
Right off the 4 train off Jerome Avenue.
And so, did you get to see your sister and your folks much?
Yeah. I mean, like I said, my parents were split up. So, I would go down, summer, Christmas vacation, Thanksgiving. So, I would go back and forth a lot. Did a lot of miles on the Metro North from Poughkeepsie going down. 42nd Street, jump right on the 4 train, boom. Right there, home, Mount Eden Avenue, stop.
Didn't Metro North have a stop at 125?
Yeah, but, that was Harlem. But that's still,
closer to the Bronx, but
it weird enough, like I only knew a couple of train lines, like the 4 and the D, and I didn't really want to deal with it. I didn't want to be like the only brother, at the 125th station reading a subway map. So I'm like, I'm just going to go to 42nd. I'll go to the magazine shop. I'll go walk around a little bit, and then I'll just kill an hour or two, and then I'll just jump on the subway.
Right. So. Reading a subway map, that plays differently in the South Bronx or Harlem than it does in, say, Salt Point.
Yeah, because, my friends and I, we barely went into Manhattan. Like we went to Coney Island once, but, we had Fordham Road, we had the stadium and stuff. We didn't really go into any other borough. There was no need for that.
And did you keep in touch with many of your friends from the
Bronx? Yeah. Facebook made it a lot easier.
Oh,
so
I see. You're a youngster. So Facebook existed back then?
No. I just mean now it's easier to keep in touch with them. I mean, we're all in our 40s and stuff, but there was kind of that block where, I wonder how so-and-so is doing. And then, you get the random friend request like, oh, you're still alive. I don't have to look at obits. Cool.
So nice. And so you graduated from FDR.
Yep.
And what happened then?
Well, I forayed into the adult entertainment industry for a little. No, I'm kidding. That's something else. I'm sorry, I went there. I went to College of St. Rose in Albany.
Okay.
And then I transferred out, went to SUNY New Paltz,
nice.
Which was SUNY New Paltz in the 90s, so you can pretty much finish the sentence there. And
I don't have any reference for that.
New Paltz in the 90s was kind of nuts. It was just crazy. It's just all the bars and everything, a lot of violence going on, fights and stuff. I'm like,
really?
Yeah, it was pretty common to go to Joe's East West and see Poughkeepsie kids fighting with Kingston or Highland kids, and like, this is New Paltz. It's weird.
And how did the Salt Point kids fare in those rumbles?
I think I was the only one from Salt Point that went out there because I'm a city kid. I explore, so that's the thing. I did drag a lot of my friends down to the East Village and Limelight and Tunnel and Palladium and stuff like that, Twilo. So I had to give them a little taste of that club life, because
New
big
Paltz.
fish in a small pond and like New Paltz or Poughkeepsie. It's like, let's go to a real club, and watch my friends all clueless trying to talk to girls and stuff. It was pretty fun.
Clueless.
Yeah.
And so you graduated from SUNY New Paltz, I'm guessing, at some point?
Yeah, I mean, technically I didn't finish. I just was like, I hate school.
So
that's kind of how it went. I just went right into the workforce.
And had they conferred a degree on you, what would it have been in?
It probably would have been a bachelor's in organizational communications. I was an art student.
Oh, right. That's what it says, in fact, on your LinkedIn page.
Yeah. I went to St. Rose on a art scholarship. I was an art student all the way. I mean, I won a ton of awards senior year high school and stuff like that. Basically, my medium was drawing, watercolor painting and stuff like that. And, I was an art student, a full-on art student.
Oh, nice.
And, at New Paltz, it's just, I just didn't want to do art anymore. So the easiest major to put those credits in was organizational communication, which is basically you're the mediator between conflict of labor and workforce and stuff. That's the basic way to explain it.
Okay.
So,
and you said you went right into the workforce doing that kind of a thing?
No. Oh my gosh. I can't even remember what I did.
It's a trip down memory lane.
Yeah, it is a trip. A lot of sales experience. Oh gosh. I can't even remember. I can't. I worked.
But was it somewhere around here?
Yeah, it was all around here.
Okay.
Yeah, I did. I was a banker for probably about 8 years.
Wow.
Yeah, worked at M&T Bank in Red Hook.
Okay.
And Rhinebeck, and a little bit in the regional headquarters in Fishkill. So that
sounds like you were building a career path in banking.
Yeah, but basically it was like, okay, I'll be here for a year and then you'll reimburse my tuition. So that was kind of the motivation behind it. But then at the same time, it's like it's kind of hard to get a creative degree or go to school under a creative umbrella when you work at a bank.
Right.
Because they expect you to do, accounting or, business administration. And it's like, no, I don't want to do that. So basically I just kind of worked just to work.
Right. Huh, interesting. I'm going to take a break and sort of go back. I jumped the gun and tell people who you are. This week's guest is an actor, an activist, a voice artist, social media consultant, and the founder of 2B Scene, a nonprofit promoting diversity in the Hudson Valley film industry, which is where I know you from, is seeing you on films all over the place. And, how I think of you as this creative person. 8 years as a banker is like, wow, what?
Yeah, it's very practical. But then there's also cons. Like, for example, I can't do math in my head anymore because, God forbid, you do math in your head at a bank. So I'm so dependent on calculators now. It's very embarrassing.
Oh, isn't that funny?
Yeah, it is. It's like I've been pushed and trained to use calculators. So if I try to do math in my head, it looks like I'm having an aneurysm. It's not pretty. Yeah,
it's funny the way it's sort of a learned helplessness when you have these other tools. Like I used to know everybody's phone numbers by heart. And
yeah, exactly. It's
nobody's.
like, what's the point now? Like, yeah, it's hard for me to remember names because in banking, I had to know everyone's names. And then after I got done with banking, I'm like, you know what? I really don't need to stress myself out remembering people's names. Hey, you is pretty universal.
Hey, you. So how did you make the decision to leave the safety of this banking career?
Well, I left banking, and then I went into the auto industry.
Like Pop?
Yeah. Like I worked as a salesman at a Friendly Honda for a little bit, and then I went to Lacey, Ford Lincoln Subaru up in Catskill, and I was assistant marketing manager, and then I became the marketing manager of the dealership.
Okay.
And then I got swiped by a company called Dealer Authority, which was weird because when they approached me, they didn't need my resume because apparently they were like stalking me online for a few months after I'd met a couple of representatives at like a digital marketing conference. And there's nothing more exciting than an auto digital marketing conference. It's just cream of the crop. It's just party every day.
Where do they have them in, like?
They have them all over, but the one I went to was in Atlantic City.
Oh, okay. That's not bad.
Yeah, but this is Atlantic City 2014. Not exactly exciting. So, yeah, it's like rundown Atlantic City. It's not like the film with Burt Lancaster and like Susan Sarandon where it's all hoppity cool. It's like, yeah, like Trump had some casinos closed and it's like run down. Yeah, that.
Right.
Yeah. So I joined this company and I worked from home for 6 years. And probably about the 4th year, I started getting into film. I volunteered at the Woodstock Film Festival 2015.
And where was home at that point?
It was still Rhinebeck because I've been in Rhinebeck since 2002. Yeah.
Oh, right. Wow. And at some point in there, you met your wife.
Met my wife in high school.
Oh.
Yeah. We're just bouncing all over the place timeline. Yep. Met her in high school.
Huh. That's great. And how long has that been?
Well,
I don't do math in my head anymore.
I know. I'm thinking about it. I'm pretty good with years. We met in 93, got married 2004.
Okay.
So
93. So that's like 30 years.
Yeah, it is 30 years. Yeah, so I've known her for 30 years. Yeah. Crazy.
Amazing. And you've got a couple of kids?
Yes, I do. They're for sale if you want them.
For sale? That's good. I'm looking for more kids.
Yeah.
My kids are all out of the house.
Yeah, so, fill up those rooms.
I need somebody to give
no
me
more
a
empty
hard
nest.
time. Well, how old are the kids? They're in school in Rhinebeck.
Yes, 16 and 14. So 10th grade and 9th grade.
10th grade and
they're about 21 months apart.
10th grade and what'd you say? 8th?
10th and 9th.
10th and 9th. Mm-hmm. Huh. That's nice. And how's your experience with the Rhinebeck Central School District?
It's pretty good. I haven't really experienced anything crazy. I mean, I'll be honest, it's not as diverse as what I'm used to, but it's okay.
I would guess it's almost the exact opposite of the
Yeah, it is the exact opposite, even though the fun fact of so many city people moving up because of COVID. Right. So I think the school district probably, I want to say 2021 maybe, had about 80 plus new kids in the district from the city, mostly from Brooklyn.
Wow.
So, yeah. Yeah, it's kind of like when 9/11 happened and then city people just started moving up.
Right.
So just to kind of get out of the city. And remember, Westchester was ground zero and that basically filtered to the city for COVID and just people wanted to get out of the city.
Right.
So,
yeah. So, but they're enjoying high school. They're having a good experience.
Yeah, they do sports. My daughter's in the band. My son does basketball. My daughter does basketball. My son also does cross country and track. So, yeah.
Okay.
Kids are loving the school experience, and they've been in Rhinebeck since kindergarten. So
that's great to hear because I mean, the lack of diversity seems like it could make sort of less than a perfectly pleasant experience.
Right.
And in that realm of the non-diverse, I mean the white kids, there's a vast array of different sort of socioeconomic groups, and and I wondered if your kids butted up against any of that.
No, not really. I mean,
that's perfect.
Yeah, it's like, I honestly can't even think of an example or anecdote. I mean, my kids, they have decent amount of friends, and they have some friends with money and some friends that just whatever. I mean, it's just I mean, it's Rhinebeck. Most of the kids there have money. That's just the realism of it. But, it hasn't really changed their personality or anything like that.
Right.
It's not like, say, if it was reversed and we lived in the Bronx, all of a sudden this rich person came into the building or something or whatever, some Mr. Drummond type thing, or, but yeah, it's not really like that.
Right. Now, as I sit here and listen to you, I can't help but notice how lovely your voice is. You are a voiceover artist, voiceover actor.
Yeah, I've worked on a few audiobooks. I've done a couple of children's books. I've done a couple of... I get a lot of people say, can you do my sizzle reel and stuff like that? So, that's pretty nice. I get a lot of auditions for voiceover, which is nice because I don't have to memorize it because I can just read the damn thing. That's very helpful.
Is that tough, memorizing the lines and stuff?
It is if you haven't been doing it for a long time. I mean, I've only been in the film industry since, 2019. So,
okay.
2018, technically, 2018.
But you've done theater, too.
I've done theater. I did the Tivoli Players production of Midsummer Night's Dream a couple summers ago.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. I played Tom Snout, the Wall. It was
so it's still a
sexy
fair,
stuff.
A fair amount of memorization.
Well, yeah, especially because it's Shakespeare. So I figure, I'll do my first play since 7th grade, and yeah, I'll do Shakespeare.
It'll be fine.
Yeah, that'll be so easy. So Willow Hausman was the director, and the funny thing is that we had 19 actors, and I remember she wanted us all to do British accents, and by the time we went on stage, there's only 4 of us that kept the accent, so it's pretty funny.
Wait, so every night the play would begin with everybody doing their best British accent?
Well, no, like when we started with the rehearsals and everything, and Tech Week, everyone was doing British accents the best they could, and then when we would get on stage, everybody's like, screw it, I'm doing my Duchess accent. And then you had 3 of us that was sticking to the British accent. So,
and did you stick to it? Were you one of the 3 or 4?
Yeah, I was actually. It kind of morphed to like a Cockney type thing or whatever. So
all right, come on, let's hear it.
Oh jeez, now you put me on the spot. Okay,
we can open this drink while you're thinking about that.
I suggest we open this this soju right here. It's got a strawberry flavor, and I'm looking here. It's got 12% alcohol volume. That's pretty good. 375 milliliters. That's pretty nice. I enjoy it a lot. I like to get tossed. It's great.
Ladies and gentlemen, His Royal Highness Willis Williams. And what is this drink that you brought in for us to share?
I brought soju in, and all my friends, they know what's up. So soju is a spirit from South Korea. It is the most popular alcoholic beverage in Asia, second on the planet, I think, behind vodka, because vodka. So it's made out of sweet potatoes and comes in a lot of delicious flavors. It's pretty nice. I mean, you go to any Korean restaurant and, just like, yeah, let me see the soju menu. And basically, you ever go to a Korean restaurant or see online a picture, it'll be like a big watermelon shell and there's straws coming out of it and everybody's drinking out of the watermelon and stuff. That's what they do. They'll take the watermelon.
I thought that was a backyard barbecue.
Mix it with soju in the blender, make a puree, and then put it in the shell. And then you and your friends have big straws and you're just slurping away. Delightful.
Well, we've got cups here tonight. Let's break it open.
All right, let's crack it open.
Do the deed.
Oh, you want me to do the deed here?
Soju. So it's.
I got cocoa butter on my hand, so this is gonna be difficult. Yeah, you dry-handed people, open it up. Sorry, I believe in moisture.
There you go.
Art student. I got to keep them soft. These are not construction workers.
Do you still sketch and draw?
Not as much as I used to. So I'm always thinking about it, and then I'll get sucked into Michael's and buy like canvases, and then I'll look at the paints and I'm like, hell no, I'm not spending that much.
Well, art supply stores are just the best places in the universe.
Well, yeah, that was the thing. Basically, when you're an art major, that's what you do. You shop for your supplies. And it's like, yeah, I'm taking a color theory course and I got to mix primary colors. I need to take these 2 different blues that are each $11 a piece for maybe like a 7-ounce tube, and then just kind of do your thing. Art supplies are expensive.
Yeah.
So, but it's also, so if you're taking a typical college course and basically your grades are based upon, your exams and your papers and stuff like that. You know, with art, it's based on your projects, based on your talent, your vision. And then it's pretty normal that at the end of the semester, you have your project out in the middle of the class and everybody critiques it. So it's very tough to survive in that environment if you don't have thick skin, because, you know, art is subjective. Everybody sees things differently. Like, this is a bottle of Poland Spring, but to you, this could be vodka in here, even though it's just water.
I assume it was vodka when you brought it in.
No, it wasn't. No. But, you know, someone would think this is a spaceship. I mean, who knows?
Drink.
Exactly.
After water, probably. Well, cheers. Here's to the soju. I can't wait to try this.
Yeah.
Strawberry flavor. It's Sunhari brand.
It's pretty good stuff. Yeah, it's good.
Wow. Strawberry.
Smooth.
Artificial strawberry flavor never fails.
Yeah, fake strawberry is just delicious.
Yeah. Wow, soju. That might be my first soju.
Yeah, it's pretty good. Interesting story. When I first had soju, it was like 10 years ago, and I was out having lunch with my dad and my stepmom, and it was for Father's Day. So I'm in the East Village, and I find this restaurant that's been long closed called Song 7.2. It's a great Korean restaurant. So I see the little, you know, paper sandwich board things on the table, and it's like the little green bottles. I'm like, oh, that looks very interesting. And so I order one, and I think it's a beer, because if you look at it, it's like a beer bottle size.
It does sort of look like a beer.
So I was confused when they brought it out with shot glasses, and I'm like, what is this? And then I tasted it, and it's like, this is not beer, and I can't drink this because I will run into someone on the FDR driving home.
Right.
So yeah, and I've been hooked ever since.
And you said it's made from potatoes?
Sweet potato.
Sweet potatoes.
Yes, that's how it's usually made.
12% alcohol by volume.
Yes. And this isn't the rich one.
Kind of like wine, or I'm guessing sake.
Well, sake is definitely a rice wine. This is a spirit, straight up. That's the thing. So.
Okay.
But, you know, sake's a love of mine as well.
Yeah.
Love the sake, especially the unfiltered, with the nice milky consistency. That's the strong stuff.
Yeah, it's good.
Like, basically, rule of thumb, if anyone's giving you sake all the time when it's hot, it's low quality. The best quality sake is always devoured cold.
Uh-huh. And is that how we should be drinking this soju?
Well, this should be ice cold, but, you know, since I saw your text like an hour ago,
it's delightful at room
bring
temperature.
alcohol. And I was like, I didn't have any. Now that I think about it, I actually had a bottle in my fridge, and I spaced out and didn't even bring that. I just grabbed one of my surplus supplies.
So back to the art school, you're talking about getting critiques and stuff.
Yeah.
And how were you in a good place? Did you have the thick skin necessary to receive them well?
I had the thick skin. The problem is that, and anyone that is studying a program in a university or college where it's based on talent, you know, and not typical academia, will attest that basically if you do not kiss ass, it's going to be very difficult for you to succeed in these classes, because you have competition against your classmates, and then the ones that totally love the teacher or professor and, you know, stroke their ego. I mean, I've been in classes where students are like, I remember how much you liked these brownies last time, so I brought some more. And it's
man.
Just, what?
And you did not play that game.
Come on, man. I'm South Bronx. No.
But you had, you know, it sounds like a lifetime of experience making art and developing some sort of confidence in your ability as an art maker.
Right. I mean, basically, it's like of any person of color has to do, you have to play the game to fit. You have to code switch. You have to, you know, almost have kind of a split personality to, you know, and the most plain way I can put it, you know, make white people feel comfortable around you.
Well, you're doing a great job right now. Thank you
very
thanks.
Much. That's because I brought alcohol. That's why,
right.
You know.
And
so.
what does that mean, code switch?
Well, code switching is where, like, let's say, for example, I'm with my friends, my family, you know, we're all black. We got year-round tans. That's kind of how it is. Uh-huh. And, you know, we talk at a way we're comfortable with each other and stuff. But then, you know, when the man is around, you know, the people that are dependent on sunscreen to survive on the planet.
Right.
Yeah. So basically we have to kind of, you know, we have to kind of play the game, you know. I like to say that I could go from Harvard to Harlem in 2 seconds flat.
But
yeah, the code switching is a thing, especially you think about people of color in corporate America. You know, it's like you already have to deal with enough where you can't wear your hair that way and stuff like that. And now how to present yourself, you know, having a grasp of the proper English language in a business setting.
Right.
So you can't really be yourself in most cases unless you work at a company or a department where there are a lot of people of color, where you can actually be comfortable. Unfortunately for me, history of my professional employment, either I've worked for a small company where I was the only person of color, or I worked in a department where I was the only person of color. So yeah, code switch was on basically, like it was like a switch, like literally.
And so when you're together with your family, your friends, as you described, you saw all black.
Yeah.
Do you all discuss the code switching you've done during the day?
If it comes up, but keep in mind, I'm like, if I'm visiting family in the Bronx, you know, it's not like they're really around a lot of white people. So let's be honest.
But there must be code switching snafus, you know, where you're in the bank, say, and all of a sudden, you know, some other Willis slips out, which is not the white bank code.
Not really, because, you know, we basically learn, and I'm speaking general, but, you know, in my experience, you know, people of color, we're basically under a microscope depending on where we are.
Right.
So, I mean, and there's a lot of microaggressions. So we're pretty conscious of how we present ourselves if we are, quote unquote, outnumbered, for lack of a better phrase.
Right. Okay, I'm fascinated by microaggressions.
Yeah.
How often would you say?
Do you want examples?
Of course. Sure.
Okay, so let's say, and this doesn't really happen to me too much, you know, because I'm one of the few black people up here that everybody knows, so, which, you know, is a blessing and a curse at the same time, but I won't go into that. So let's say a microaggression is, okay, you're walking down the street and you see a person of color walking on that same side. And let's say you are with a female companion and she says, you know, let's just cross the street or something like that. And maybe where you're going is still on that side that you're walking, but you see, you know, African-American male just walking towards you. And then maybe, you know, you kind of meander, kind of go out of your way just so you don't have any contact with him. Or like if, you know, you're a person of color in an elevator and you walk in and there's a white woman there. Maybe she clutches her purse a little too tight or kind of slides it to the side. Or my favorite, where I'm followed in every store that does not sell milk. So, you know, it's like, oh, can I help you? Like, no, I'm cool. You know, and then maybe like 5-6 minutes later, can I help you? Like, no, 5 minutes ago, I was cool. Still cool. Thanks.
Cool.
I know where the DVDs are. Thank you very much. You know, stuff like that.
Right. Every store where, because of the color of your skin, people suspect that you're going to be a shoplifter.
Yeah, and that's a few. And I'm not saying that is what I think it's going to happen, but there is a self-awareness and radar up for that. You know, and especially think about it. As myself, working in a bank in Rhinebeck, the only person of color, I have more stories than the Disney vault of the weirdness that has happened to me, being a person dealing with other people's money.
Right.
So
white customers being all of a sudden super uncomfortable dealing with you.
Yeah, and it's, you know, it's always a handful. It's not the majority, but there's always, you know, when that person walks into the branch, I'm like, oh, I gotta deal with this shit. You know, like kind of that thing, you know? So it's just kind of, you get that unease feeling and, you know, your stomach gets a little tight. I'm like, okay, this is not going to be a simple conversation. Okay. I actually had people call the branch and tell my manager that when they talk to me on the phone, my voice is too deep and it's too overbearing. It's too, it doesn't make them comfortable. So I've literally had that. I've literally been brought into a manager's office and said, you know, can you do something about your voice?
You said, yeah, baby. Oh, yeah, I can.
Yeah, it's, you know, it's happened. Or like, let's say
that is fucking hilarious, by the way.
It's funny now.
Yeah.
just like, you know,
well,
stuff happened in 2008, 2009.
You know.
Now it's funny. Back then I'm like,
okay. And what did your manager say? I mean, I don't even know how a manager could bring that information.
I mean, well, he
to
tried to
somebody.
make light of the situation, but the fact remains is that
He wanted
if
to
I
voice
pick up the
iron.
phone and if I talk to someone, I'm helping them. And it's not like I'm on the phone like, are you white? Are you white? You sound white. You said shucks or whatever the hell it is. So, but that's the thing. Like, I would literally have people, can I speak to someone else, please? You know, and just, so this is it. You know, this is the package. It's what it is. So I can't help it. You know, I have a seductive, singles phone line, call at midnight voice. I cannot help that.
I thought I recognized it from somewhere.
Yeah, if you're lonely, you need a special friend. Call now. Join the party line.
Often. I remember those commercials
Yeah, those commercials.
on Channel 35, Manhattan cable. So how many times a week would you say you run up against some kind of microaggression?
Gosh, I got to think about it because it doesn't really happen as much anymore. I think the landscape has kind of changed since 45 was in office. Things kind of went off the axis a little bit, out of orbit. But the microaggressions are there. I mean, it's like a spider sense. You just pick up on it. I mean, it's just, why is this person staring at me? Like, just whatever. Or just the way someone's body language is or talk to them. Now, keep in mind, if you're a city person, you're used to interacting with people non-verbally, seeing, okay, this person is walking towards me a certain type of way. Yeah, let me duck behind the cars. I mean, you kind of have that street smart knowledge.
Right. So there were times where you would cross the street or duck behind a car or whatever if you saw people coming at you that didn't look savory.
Not here. I mean, in the
but in the
city.
city.
Yeah, because it's the city. Up here, I'm like, whatever, man. Let's just get the hell out of my way. Or whatever. It's just a weird norm. I mean, it's weird.
Do you mind talking about this?
No, I'm cool with it.
So you said when 45 came into office, how did things change?
Well, I mean, first of all, you see the flags everywhere, Trump 2020, stuff like that. And then it's basically, and I know it's kind of like a reach or whatever, but if I see a truck with an American flag on it, I'm going to think,
Right.
Or just even if I see a house with an American flag on it. I mean, my kids refuse to wear any clothing that has the American flag on it.
Right.
Since he was in office.
I came up with a cure for that, which is the American flag should only ever be flown with the gay pride flag also.
Oh, yep.
And then oh, look, a real patriot.
Yeah, and then think about, come on, we live here. Remember when the truck parade would go through Route 9 every Saturday and stuff like that?
Fucking scary.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny. I told my wife, like, with the second election when he was running against Biden, I'm like, if this dude wins, I'm going to be in the city for a couple of weeks. I literally packed a bag in my trunk. I'm like, look, if he wins, I cannot be around white people for a couple of weeks because it's just when he got into office, it's everybody's like, yeah, kind of had feelings about people that were tan, but now that he's in office, I'm going to show him, let my freak flag fly. Ugh. So yeah, they're just coming out of the woodwork. And that's resulted in me cutting off friends that I've known since I moved up here. Where just once he won, it's just oh, okay, that's interesting. I used to sleep over at your house. Now you're talking this stuff. Yeah, you're done.
Really?
Yeah,
Ridiculous.
I'm like Kobe, man. I just cut them off. They're done.
What do they think in talking that kind of crap to you?
Well, it's just in general.
Right.
It's almost well, they're not going to say that to me because I'm the special one because I'm their friend. Which is another microaggression where, say, if, I've had a few of these conversations in my life living up here, maybe 5 or 6 times, and I've been up here since I was 13, now I'm 47. So I've had a few of these conversations where an older person would say, you know what, I really don't like black people very much, but you're different. And I'm like, but what does that mean? It's because, I don't end every sentence with the N-word or something, or I'm not walking around with a 40 ounce. I mean, what are you trying to say? And basically, it was very confusing hearing that for the first time in 10th grade, and stuff like that from adults. And now it's basically, okay, so basically what you're saying is that you see me in such a way that you don't even care about the struggles and plights I have. I'm just super comfortable for you to be around.
That sounds like it's sort of spilling over into macroaggression.
Yeah, and it's like, don't forget, I didn't grow up in Statsburg, okay? It's like I grew up in the city in the 80s. Right. So, yeah, watch what you're saying. I mean, yeah.
All right, I want to switch back to your art, because one of the things I found looking you up is on Etsy. There's Marabito Designs.
Yeah. I was...
What is that?
Basically, what I was doing was... I was kind of curious of opening a shop on Etsy, so I was selling like custom like travel coffee mugs. And basically I found like a whole bunch of designs that would be cool from a third party, like kind of vector art. And basically the way the shop works is like, hey, I want this mug that's got like, like a silhouette of a fairy on it or whatever or something, or a cat, like cat lady mug or something. So basically I would take the order and then I would reach out to the third party vendor, which I cannot remember the name now because I haven't sold the mug since December. So I've kind of been like slacking on that. And they would just print it to order, custom order, and ship it right out. So basically that's kind of, because I still like to mess around with art and stuff like that and just try to expand. So I'm thinking, maybe I'll mess around with this.
And so these are your designs?
They are not my designs. No, they're free, free license to use.
Why aren't they your designs if you're an artist and a designer?
Because I don't really have time.
Okay.
I don't have time. I'm neck deep in this movie thing, man. I did 3 audition tapes on Mother's Day that was due like Monday morning. That's just
nice.
kind of
I'm knocking on wood. And were they self tapes?
Yeah, they were self tapes, which I prefer. But yeah, they were self tapes.
So tell everybody home what a self tape is.
So a self tape is where you get a request to audition, and let's say I'll give you a great example because I did this audition while I was suffering from food poisoning. So I got an audition for a Red Lobster commercial for Crab Fest. So I had to
speaking role.
Yeah, well, basically it was like I'd be eating and a narrator would be like, it's Crab Fest. We're coming to Red Lobster, crabs. We got crabs. Stuff like that. Right. Crabs, butter, melted butter, crabs, seafood, blah, blah, blah. So basically the self-tape, I was supposed to play like a grandfather role. I'm like, this is some bullshit, but whatever. So I dressed up all nicey nice, and it was very specific that I had my own set of like crackers to crack the shell.
Right.
Like basically I'm supposed to pull it out of a special case. I'm like, I don't know who does that. But, I just had like a nutcracker. I pulled it out of my coat and I was supposed to be cracking crab legs. Now, I'm suffering from food poisoning. If you ever see the video, I'm really selling it. I should get an Oscar just for that alone. I didn't get a call back. They didn't know. I should have put, hey, by the way, I was suffering from food poisoning.
Is it
every 2 seconds I had to puke.
Is it on YouTube?
No, it's on my phone. It's not on YouTube because I had to send it directly to the casting director. So they said, pretend you're breaking crab legs. I'm like, well, I'm not going to buy crab legs for a stupid audition. Plus, I have food poisoning. So I bought pretzel rods, and I'm snapping pretzel rods.
Sounds pretty
to
close.
Resemble the crab legs. And the video looks great. I look totally healthy. But every frame, I'm like, I'm going to freaking puke, man. I never thought I'd ever puke eating pretzels and stuff.
And so you did 3 of these on Mother's Day.
I did 3 of them on Mother's Day.
When do you hear back from these?
Well, it depends because, okay, let's say I got these auditions and they're going to start filming next week. Then, yeah, I'll hear back right away. But some of these auditions are like, okay, you're auditioning May 10th, but we're not going to start shooting until June 17th. Well, obviously, I'm not going to hear very soon because they're going to look at all the auditions and stuff.
Right.
So it just depends. But if I don't get a call back, I don't get it, which is fine. I know it sounds weird, but because I've dealt with so much craziness with art in classes and, just like, okay, you think it sucks, I think it's great, whatever, that type of thing. So basically I do an audition and I don't think about it and I just kind of roll it off and like bring me the next one. I've probably had 21 auditions this year so far. So it's just like coming in. I do it, I film it, boom, on to the next. That's it.
That's great. And what percentage of those pay off in some kind of a gig?
Gosh, I don't know because I mean, like, say for example, I have an agent that I just got an agent in January just for commercials.
Nice. Congratulations.
So thank you. So she's giving me commercials. These are like national commercials. So obviously I live in realism. You know, the planet that I'm on, the sky is blue. So I know it's real.
But somebody gets those roles.
Yes, somebody gets those. But it's funny. I've seen commercials that I auditioned for and I'm on the TV and I'm like, this is weird. And I just stared and like I auditioned for one where it was to fight anti-Semitism. And basically I'm driving a truck and my dumbass kid is like posting on social media, Hitler was right. Hitler was right. So I'm chastising him. And in the commercial, you know, obviously I'm reading it, you know, pretending I'm driving. We pull up in front of a synagogue and I'm like, well, you like to say that online. Why don't you go out and say it to their face? And the kid's just like,
oh, snap.
You know, just like sitting there like, whatever, you know, and then I'm like, I love you, son, and some bullshit like that. So
wait, so in that case, there's two roles. Do you enlist your kid to read the other role for you?
No, what happened was that we did a Zoom. I did a self-tape, but then we did a Zoom live read, and then they had someone on the Zoom reading, you know, doing the lines of the kid. So that's kind of how they do it. If I get a self-tape and someone else has to speak, I usually have my wife, you know, be the reader.
Right.
So that's basically the case. If I get like a voiceover thing, obviously I just have to read. I don't really, whatever.
And is your wife an actress as well?
No, she's a school teacher. No, she's not.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah, so basically I'm like, can you help me with this? And she's like, whatever, you know. So then she critiques, that really sucked. I'm like, thanks, babe. Appreciate it. So,
but that's great to have a trusted friend critique your performance,
well,
right?
Yeah. I mean, I'll take the honest stuff. I mean, if someone says, you know, that really sucked, I'm like, okay, I'll do better. Thanks. Trucking along. Let's go.
In the acting realm, do you get that kind of feedback in your performances?
Yeah.
That you did getting in school, getting crits in your art.
Well, the thing is that if you do an audition, if you don't get it, you don't hear anything. I mean, how rarely do you hear, look, man, you did a great job, but what I need for you to do is, you don't really hear that. You hear that sometimes. Like I hear it from Heidi.
Not speaking
I'll get it from Heidi.
Low voice.
Yeah, like don't speak in a low voice because you're scaring people.
Right.
You know, scaring them, you know, whatever. But yeah, so
I emails from listeners right now complaining that
it's about get him off the mic. He's scaring me.
Listeners are
he's blowing out the subwoofers in my home.
So Heidi is one of the casting people around.
Yeah, but Heidi will give me feedback. But going back to that anti-Semitism commercial, I saw it for the first. I auditioned for this thing in January. I saw it for the first time on TV last week, and I'm just like, that's just weird. It's just weird to see it.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
And did the spot hang together? Did it seem like a good commercial?
Yeah, I mean, it came out pretty good, you know, and it was very effective. I mean, just at a synagogue, and then like it's after, you know, church or whatever you say at a synagogue.
Did they cast a black guy for the truck driver?
No. It was white too.
Uh-huh.
But I don't think that would have mattered. It's just, you know.
It's a different way to go.
Yeah, but I didn't think, oh man, it's a white guy. I'm thinking, you know, this guy's pretty convincing, you know? So it was kind of weird because they did give me some feedback. Like, I need you to be really angry. I'm like, well, how angry do you want me to be? I mean, like, this is a college-age kid, you know? I mean, I gave the anger out, but I'm like, we're going to slam his head against a window or something? It's, you know, pull out my gun. You're going to go effing apologize. I mean, I don't know I don't know.
So they told you this? You were auditioning live on Zoom for them, or
yeah, and they're just like, "Thank you," you know, and it's just kind of you just go through it because they had like a time slot. So obviously, if they're giving you a time slot, they're just like shoehorning people.
Sure.
In. So yeah. So I didn't get it. Plot twist: I didn't get it.
And do you enjoy auditioning?
I do, especially self tapes. I like the self tapes. You have a lot of control with it. I mean, there's the traditional way where you go into the room and there's the table and it's like the set of flash dance at the end when she does the dance and there's just like the people sitting there and whatever and stuff. And that's not really comfortable for me, only because I haven't been doing this for like 20 years or something like that. I mean, I started in 2018, I got into SAG in 2019, and then a couple months later, everything shut down because of COVID. So I got pretty used to those self-tapes, but I am disciplined with the self-tapes. I do 5 self-tapes. I do 5 of an audition, and then I just pick the best one because I know myself. If I don't do that, then it's going to be like, man, this is 12 hours later. It's like take 78, knowing that the first 3 were probably the best. I'm like, oh man, like, can you hear my stomach grumble in that one? I think I did. You know, this lavalier mic. Yeah, I think I heard something. Yeah. So I just do 5. That's it. Pick the best one.
How did you get into the union SAG, the Screen Actors Guild?
I got the Taft-Hartleys from movies up here doing background.
Okay.
Which, good hint, if anyone is trying to do the acting, it is way easier to get to Taft-Hartley in movies than it is on TV shows. Way easier.
Okay.
I got friends in the city like, yeah, I've played a cop on Third Watch for like 10, 15 years, and I only got 2, Taft-Hartleys. I'm like, wow, that's cool. By the time I got eligible, I had like 6. And that was in 10 months.
And
rock on, cop.
And what were some of the movies you've done around here?
Well, you and I worked together, Dead Don't Die.
Right, the Jim Jarmusch zombie film.
Yep. I'm trying to think, where else did I get? Oh, gosh. Taft-Hartley's from. Oh, Taft-Hartley. I'm thinking. It was
let me ask
year.
another question while you're thinking of that. You were on TV last night in the episode of some police procedural.
Yes, the show is called Law and Order. It's a brand new show. It's been around since the early 90s, but it's finally gaining an audience.
Yeah, that's finally good.
Yeah, I was a juror on the season finale of OG Sam Waterston Law and Order.
I saw you as a juror.
Yes.
Making a skeptical face.
Yes.
Whatever.
I made a lot of skeptical faces.
Yeah.
Because it was 14 hours sitting in that uncomfortable ass jury chair. Yes.
Ugh. And was that the direction from the director of the show?
Yeah, actually, because
looked like you don't believe.
Well, here's the thing: my phone's been blowing up since last night.
Right.
If I got a nickel for every screenshot I've gotten, I could buy a Ferrari right now. Which I appreciate the love, everyone. Thanks. So, I haven't even taken screenshots.
These little glimpses into people's living rooms.
Like here's my reel,
up.
and it's just like 15,000 stills of me or whatever.
Yeah.
So basically, the director said, "Look." He's going to bring out the evidence, which is like, if anyone hasn't seen the episode, basically what happened, there was a senator, he got murdered at his daughter's wedding, and the guy that murdered him, I know this is a spoiler, but I don't care, it aired yesterday. So the guy that murdered him was suffering from trauma because he was a guns rights activist, but he was actually a school teacher who survived a shooting situation where 16 of his students got killed and he got shot in his classroom and he disarmed the shooter. So basically,
fine, but slightly convoluted plot point.
Yeah. So what happened was the senator, he was an activist, and the senator promised that he would pass legislation that would, control guns. And then at the last minute, at the 11th hour, the senator's like, "No, I'm not going to do that." So that's why he was killed. Basically.
Wow.
So there's a piece of evidence during the trial where the bride's dress, her wedding dress, with all of his blood on it.
Oh, geez.
So the director said, "Look, we're going to show this. You are going to look shocked, but don't overdo it. Don't be like, 'Ay, Dios mío,' and just start fainting or something like that." So
you act in Spanish often?
No, not at all. Only if the check's right. No.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, so he's like, "Look, you got to be shocked, but be cool about it. Don't go over the top." So basically, I have all these video clips that have been sent to me of my reaction to dress, because literally the dress is on the screen and then there's my face reacting to it. I'm just like, oh my gosh.
And so when you see that, what do you think? Did you think?
I was laughing my ass off because I didn't even know I made that face. It was just really funny.
But did you think okay, that's a reasonable job acting?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of nice to pretend you're someone else for a while. So, but yeah, Law and Order. I mean, it's Law and Order, man. I did SVU 3 times. So just the fact that I was on original Law and Order, that was pretty exciting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, what a treat. And everybody seeing you.
Exactly.
Your phone blowing up. "Willis, is this you? I saw you in this thing."
Yeah, and I'm like, "No, we all look alike. Move on." That's what I said. But I feel like I've upgraded in the Dick Wolf world because, I went from homeless father to business guy to guy watching Olivia Benson arrest some thug. And I'm standing there with my girlfriend like, oh my gosh. And, in the Dick Wolf universe, now I am a juror. So I have leveled up from homeless man to juror number 4.
And next stop, you're going to have lines.
Yeah, hopefully that's the goal. Because it's really weird now. I do work on projects where I'm a lead or supporting, and they're maybe like indie films or small films or whatever. But basically, if I get a big gig, the first thing out of people's mouths are, do you have lines? And I'm like, no, not really. And then they just kind of like tune out, you know?
But the paycheck's massively different, right?
Oh, yeah. I mean, especially at SAG, the paycheck's massively different. Obviously, if you have lines on a production, your pay is going to jump up that much. Exactly.
Right.
But it's not about the pay. I just want the lines. I mean, because the lines, you get the credit, you know, and it's just, you can use it for your reel and stuff. I mean, you can make a living doing background, but if you're trying to make a reel, I mean, what are you going to do? Like, look, there's my left shoulder. It's cool. Look how it just went out that door frame. I mean, it's
right.
You know, like, look at my hand opening that car door. I mean, it's, come on.
And do you see yourself in many movies? Did you see yourself in The Dead Don't Die as background?
Yeah, I saw myself like 5 times.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. Even with the zombie makeup on. Yes. Because you remember the scenes you shot, so you're like laser focused. Like, can I see myself? And yeah, I saw that in the theater 3 times, and every time I saw it, I saw myself more than the last time.
Oh, that's fun.
Which was funny.
And what do the kids think about all this? Are they impressed?
No, because they're teenagers. They're just like, whatever.
Oh, right. I forgot.
Whatever. If I blew up on TikTok, it'd be a different story.
Right.
But, you know, I'm like, hey, look, I'm in this movie that made like 40 million. I'm like, whatever. It's like, but you're not on my phone. You're not on TikTok.
Now, this is your other job, is a social media expert. And what do you do for that job?
Well, I'm kind of like freelance with it. I don't really do it much anymore because in film, I act and I do production type work. But with the social media, I was a social media strategist. So I was one of those for about 13 years. Basically, for the last part of it, the last 6 years, I would design and manage ad campaigns for businesses on Facebook and Instagram. So I would design the ads. So it's all Photoshop stuff.
So we'd write them and design them.
I'd do the ad copy. I would get the budget. Oh, you want to spend $250 a month? I would apply the budget. You know, I would do all of the demographic targeting and stuff like that. And I would just manage the ad campaign. And anyone that's familiar with running ads on Facebook, it takes about a good 2 days before your ads really like kicking steam. So that's usually when you get the clients being really annoying. What's going on? It's only got 12 clicks. I'm like, bro, it's only been live for an hour. Chill out. Like,
right.
Go take 2 and relax. Get out of here. It's like it takes 2 days. It's like, especially because most of the clients were car dealers. So that time is like, well, I got this 1.9 APR on Camrys and, you know, it's been 3 days. I'm like, yeah, well, it's the 9th, but I asked you on the 1st and you gave me the stuff on the 7th, and this is where we are.
And so you get 12 clicks the first day, 24 the next. What would you expect by sort of the end of the week?
Well, I mean, it depends on the budget and it depends on the audience.
Right.
So on a typical Facebook ad, if you're doing targeting, you could target by either map coordinates, zip codes, or towns. So say if I do an ad for Rhinebeck, then I would choose, this is going to be 5 mile radius, 25, 35, 100. Obviously, the farther it goes out, the less penetration the message has. So then you got to be kind of crafty and like, okay, I'm going to target Rhinebeck, Red Hook, Millbrook, Wappingers,
right.
Beacon, Gardner or whatever. So that way you know that those areas are seeing the message. That's the great thing about digital marketing. I worked in advertising for the Daily Freeman for about 2 years. And you think about that old school advertising, okay? So let's say the circulation of the Daily Freeman was like about 19,000 on a Sunday. So you got an ad. You got a car ad. You're a Toyota dealership. First of all, you're putting it in the Sunday paper. So yeah, it has the potential to be seen by 19,000 pair of eyes. But then it's, are those people in the market for a car? Are they going to consider a Toyota? That guy's driving a Chevy. That guy's driving a Honda. Will he switch to Toyota? So you don't know who's seeing the message. With digital, it's all tracked.
Right.
And basically, you're setting the demographics. Or the demographics. So you can target it like, I want someone who has a lease that's going to expire in 3 months. I want to do what's called a conquest ad. So even though I'm Toyota, all the people that are going to see these ads are Chevy owners, Honda owners, Subaru owners. Because trust me, it's social media. Everybody puts that information on there anyway. So you get that penetration where you're like, maybe I should consider a Toyota. And you have all these things. Like you could build an ad like 30-mile radius of Rhinebeck where your likes are Taylor Swift, Chinese food, NASCAR. You know, you went to school for education.
You've been snooping around my likes?
Well, yeah. It's all based on the likes. It's all based on what you put out there and what you're liking. Like for a Big Brother standpoint, it's scary, but for a marketer, it's great.
Oh, yeah.
Because your message isn't wasted. Think about that 19,000 Daily Freeman. You don't know how many people are interested, but with digital, it all whittles down to all of the people that fit the criteria. So the likelihood of them buying is higher. And that's the game with auto,
and
with digital marketing.
What kind of car do you drive?
I drive a Hyundai Elantra. It's my second one in a row.
So you like the Hyundai Elantra?
I like the Hyundai. Yeah. I don't need anything flashy or whatever.
Got room for the kids.
It's got room for the kids.
and
My
the
wife drives
friends.
a Sonata. You know, we're Hyundai people. It's all good. It's nice. It suits my needs. It gets me back and forth to the city or whatever. It gets me from A to B.
And you're driving away right after this show, going up to Bard for something, right?
Yeah, I worked on a film, and it is a musical. It's a musical. And
I mean, you're checking your phone to refresh
because I can't remember the title because we didn't use the title during production, so that's why. So I actually just learned the title of the movie like 2 days ago.
That's fine.
So it's funny. It was just like
so
the movie.
Do you sing also?
No, I am not singing. No. I mean, I can sing. I kill it at karaoke, but I am not singing. No, not at all.
All right. What's your karaoke song?
Oh, geez, what is it? Okay, basically anything by the Doors.
Oh, really?
Definitely. My Cherie Amour, Stevie Wonder, a couple of Oasis songs. I kind of, spread it out. But yeah,
first couple.
No, I'm
lines
not
of
doing
My
that.
Cherie
No.
Come on.
No, you got to get me in front of the mic. It's got to be the music.
Everybody's texting saying, get Willis to sing a little bit.
No, Willis is not singing.
Except for this
That's
one
what
woman
it
who
is.
texted, said, ask him who his favorite casting director is.
Oh my gosh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's Heidi Amy. There you go.
Yeah.
Right there. There you go.
Good answer.
Okay, the film is All the Things That Don't Make Sound. And
Well, that's a nice title.
it's a nice title,
Intriguing.
and it is a musical. And basically, the film students in Bard, they're having kind of like a film festival thing, and these are their final projects. That's probably going to go on for a few days.
Is it open to the public?
It's open to the public.
Where?
It's at the Avery Arts Center, and it starts at 6:30.
Avery Arts Center, Bard campus.
Yep,
And
tonight.
Tonight. And
Yeah.
I'm guessing they're going to show other short films as well.
Yeah. Our film, I think it's about 45 minutes. And basically, I play like a really evil, demented preacher. Yeah.
Oh, really? How
Yeah.
so? How is he evil and demented?
Because he's like narcissistic and, he's kind of like a dictator type and stuff. The director and writer's name is Caleb Wyatt. He's very talented. This is like an all black cast, black writer, black director, stuff like that. So it's like, it's got a lot of color and it's a musical. There's choirs in it and everything. So it's really cool.
And have you played a villain before?
Well, you can ask my kids, but yeah. No, not really. So this was kind of fun. I ate it up. So it was nice. I got to dress up all in the thing, and we shot at a Beulah Baptist Church in Beacon, like just south of Dutchess Stadium, which I guess is technically that's Beacon, right? It's not Fishkill, it's Beacon. Yeah,
I think that's Beacon.
yeah, I think it's Beacon. So nice little church, and like actually one of the days we filmed, we went during the service and asked the congregation to stay to be extras because I was going to do one of my crazy preaches.
Oh man!
So
I
yeah,
can't
it's
wait to see it.
really cool. I chew up a lot of scenery. It's
Showing
funny.
tonight, 6:30 at Avery.
Yeah, and I was allowed to go all ad lib on it because I have like 3 years of improv experience.
Fabulous. Well, guess what? We're out of time.
Really? That was
do a whole
fast.
nother hour with you. Everybody have a fabulous Friday. My guest is Willis Williams, talking with us about his varied careers, especially the acting. What a blast. Willis, thank you so much for coming.
Thank you, Norm. Thanks for
Everybody have
having
a great
me.
weekend. Thanks for tuning in. Good night.